Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you another video. All right, so what I thought wasn't possible really is possible. The Knicks actually are interested in James Harden. They're probably willing to give away stuff they have no business giving up to get him. I said in the last video, I don't think they want that. They do. And the Clippers do as well. Now, the Clippers is interesting because I don't think that they're moving James Harden with the intention of moving Kawhi or PG in the trade. I don't think so. I think they're going to try to make some complicated thing happen where they end up giving away some of the other stuff and bring back that piece as well as probably other pieces to make it make sense. They're gonna have to get really, really tricky. It's gonna get very interesting to see how they pull that off. Because when I try to use the trade tracker, try to convince Philly to take on Ivica Zubac, um, Norman Powell, and Robert Covington, it's the type of thing that they're gonna have to do. Obviously, you're not sending Zubac to Philly, so you got to find another place for him. So that's where they're going to have to really shine in trying to get creative and getting other teams to help facilitate such a deal. I don't think it's too crazy, though, in terms of conceiving an idea that the Clippers could trade for James Harden without actually involving Kawhi or PG. I don't think it's crazy because they can free up that cap space. They just got to find ways of getting those pieces off of their team. And some of those pieces, you can probably find homes for. You can probably find a home for Norman Powell. You can probably find a home for Ivica Zubac. And in trading either one of those dudes, you should probably be able to include a Nicholas Batum or include someone else. And if those players that you're trading for are good enough to include in this trade, sending to Philly or even to a fourth spot, where you can also get them involved so they can send some value out. Eventually, the Clippers can make that sweet enough for the 76ers, but you just got to get so very creative. And that's what it really comes down to. Um, I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but I'd imagine the first thing I'd be trying to do if I'm the Clippers is trying my best to find a suitable home for Ivica Zubac. Because his contract, I think it's a $10 or $15 million. It's probably the most attractive trade piece you're going to find there. And Norman Powell, like I said, that's somebody that he's really going to booster any team he goes to. And the Lakers are looking for a shooting guard, so if we can land Norman Powell, that'd be great. But like that's the type of thing you're looking at if you're the Clippers, and then you just bring James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George, and pray that they can play more than 50 games together, which is, like I said, it's a prayer. So, you know, for me, if I'm the Clippers, I'm doing the opposite of that. But hey, you don't come here to hear me say the same things over and over again. I do like the idea of boosting their overall talent level with a James Harden, though, especially since the Phoenix Suns are built that way anyway. So it does even up the odds a little bit that you have a chance, given the fact that you got another team building that way. Maybe that's, as I said, what the Suns need is for more teams to do this. And then the field to make more sense. You have all these teams with these top-heavy squads and no bench. But see, when you see the Nuggets win with only 8 players, it makes teams feel like, why not? When you figure we got to teeter on blowing it all the way up and trying our hand with whatever we can get without picks, you might as well go all in for a super team like Phoenix if you're in that situation like they are. So I see the data in Denver, and so why not? I don't think the Clippers can do anything better for themselves without blowing it up. And if they're hell bent on not, this is what you do. So James Harden would come home, play for the Clippers, play with PG. I'm trying to figure out if they've played with one another or not. Paul George and James Harden, I don't think they ever crossed paths before. But I'm sure they've known each other for years. That's not a thing. The point is, they would be on the same team. It's a fluid fit. They all fit just fine. You can get Russell Westbrook back in there as well to some degree and really have a reunion of catastrophic proportions, and I think that's the idea. Russell would probably come off the bench for that team, and if you putting together something like that, it could be fun. It could be fun if they're all healthy. It could be very fun. So that's what I'm looking at in regards to the Clippers. I don't, if I have to live with your team not blowing it up, bringing yourself a James Harden can make you interesting with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They're a lot more interesting than you've ever been, if you ask me. Better? Nah, you're not better probably. But interesting? Yeah, you're more interesting. And so I guess that's what they're aiming for in opening the building in a couple of years. So Um, yeah, James Harden, $35 million for the Clippers. I wouldn't hate it. Um, Flexibility you're gonna hate, but you don't have any flexibility now. So what's the difference? You probably do better with having James Harden on tab with the intentions of trading him. You know what I mean? Like literally, and you can get a haul for him. So like I said, this is not the worst thing in the world for the Clippers, because what you do need to do is take all that stuff that ain't worth nothing and turn it into something that is worth something, and that's exactly what this would do. So yeah, I don't see the downside in the Clippers doing that. I really don't. I also don't see any downside with trying to get more valuable pieces out of those guys that we've already mentioned, trading them anyway. Just get more valuable pieces, if possible, upsides pieces and stuff like that. I love the Kobe Brown pickup, as I told you guys. I think he's going to be a great role player for that team over the next several years, and will definitely outplay his draft position, if you ask me. I wonder if they're going to move on from Terrence Mann. That's what I'm wondering about. We've already mentioned him once today. I think his contract would probably help with the numbers as well in Philly. I would want him in Philly if I'm Philadelphia. And, that's probably a very, very likely situation. That they already gave away Coffee. They don't have the timeline if they're bringing in James Harden. And he's not going to get the ball in his hands. So it just stands to reason why he would be involved in this trade. Nicholas Batum doesn't hold any value. That was one of the numbers matches that I saw there. So if I'm to opt for anything, I'm going to opt for that player. I just figured the Clippers would be less likely to want to let him go, but they would have to anyway because you're bringing in James Harden. You got to give up something valuable to get James Harden. So, especially at a $35 million contract, that's actually pretty valuable. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at there, man. We're looking at that. Drummond decided not to go to Dallas. Andre Drummond, he decided to go back to Chicago on his opt-in, I think it was. I don't remember what it was, so I'm not going to speculate, but it was under $3 million. That's a good deal for the Chicago Bulls, and I think the problem with the Chicago Bulls is they just have a ceiling that is not very high, and I think most of their fans feel like they should blow it up because they just know that. It's hard because a lot of their fans are really young, so they don't remember the Chicago Bulls days, but some of the older guys that remember the glory days, this is ridiculous. They just need for their team to start over and do things a different way. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're going to re-sign Kobe White, but I don't love the role that he has there. Even though he kind of picked up last year a little bit, he's still a player who can have a much bigger role somewhere else. And I'd love to see him finally get out of there. Ayo Dosunmu, how's the development going? How's all these things happening? Vucevic, they gave $20 million a year. Fans don't seem too happy. I'm like, he's worth it, but to you, I don't know. Your timeline's funny. Maybe you don't need to be the one trying to go after James Harden to overall soup up what you have, because that's the problem. You just capped all the way off with that Lonzo Ball contract. You cannot move. It's another reason why they probably need to blow this thing up, because the Lonzo Ball contract, as long as he's not available to play, you got him at like $100 million. You ain't about to build nothing even reasonable. And he got players like Patrick Williams, whose development didn't go that well. Zach LaVine on a super inflated contract. DeMar DeRozan playing great but aging. It's just like, can you blow it up? Yeah, I don't get on the Chicago Bulls very much. I don't talk about that team very much. I don't really think about them as much as one would think, given up the fact that I'm 39 years old and remember the Chicago Bulls days. You would think I would have them more so on my mind, but that's how really irrelevant they are without young talent and all of these different things that other teams just had. They're just not interesting. And I think that's a problem. They can fix that. They can send DeMar DeRozan to Portland and fix that, quite honestly. Go get Scoot Henderson and make yourself exciting. You know what I mean? You're re-signing Vucevic. Why do you even want that timeline? Why do you want any of these things? Zach LaVine's contract, you shouldn't want none of that stuff. All of that stuff needs to go. It's all bad. None of it fits. Lonzo's gone and stuck to their timeline itself. You can't get good enough. So that's what people need to understand in Chicago is they're signing people to 3-year deals for $20 million. You're not good enough to keep your timeline, fam. You're not. The timeline is... See, when you're following a timeline, the timeline, in my mind, is a timeline that helps win now talent win a championship. And so when people think about timeline, it's not about keeping everybody old so that everybody can be old. It's so that these guys can compete at such a level that allows them to have a chance And so it's like Chicago's betraying that in a way. It's like they don't understand that there. It's like, well, we got old guys, so we got to keep old guys. Yeah, but the goal is not championship for you. The goal for you is to get the playoffs, and that's not what the NBA veteran goal is universally. It's to get in situations at that age and have a chance to compete for a championship. You don't have that with Lonzo's contract not being utilized properly. You got to stretch that right away for the flexibility necessary. And I'd hate to do that to Lonzo, but that's what needs to happen for the Bulls. They need to stretch that. They need to stretch that thing immediately or have some type of provision come in and swoop in and help them so that they can have the flexibility necessary to bring DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine some talent. Because right now, they're stuck. And their front office is not able to do anything with that for whatever reason. And they don't want to blow it up. So, again, stuck. So that's what I see there in Chicago. It's not much better than the Clippers situation, but at least the Clippers are trying to booster it. You know, they don't have a Lonzo contract weighing them down, so they get to booster their situation. You know, same thing with Phoenix. They get to, bring themselves another contract, even though the contract had a no trade clause, which is why that's the wrong contract for Phoenix. But whatever, you don't tell Phoenix nothing. They do what they want to do. Point is, this is what you have now in this situation where if you can't necessarily bring them a souped-up player that can make them another one of these three-man super teams, then Chicago, you don't really have anything. You don't have nothing, man. So that's what I want to say to them. The team is decent. And even if you have a really good regular season, everybody knows what the expectancy is in the playoffs. You're just going to get mowed down, and we all know it. So I think it makes a lot of sense to either start the season with what you have with the intentions of trading out everything at the deadline. Like literally at the deadline, trade everything and blow it up mid-season. Or blow it up now. Blow it up now, which makes no sense now that you've committed to Vucevic. So it's just misguided. It's like they don't get it. To me, honestly, it's just like they don't understand what their responsibilities are as a franchise. It's like they just, okay, we got everybody's old. We're all together. Let's just go forward. You can't win. We don't know that. Try. Like, then that ends up being the problem. Because the owners were like, well, just go out there and see if you can do it. No, I can't see nothing. Because every other team doesn't have a Lonzo Ball contract keeping them for players on the floor. You know what I'm saying? No other team has that problem. Not if they are doing things correctly, or otherwise they'd be stuck in no man's land like us, Chicago. So that's how that goes. If you're a Bulls fan, I'm praying for you. Because at least if you're a Washington fan, you can see them trying to rebuild, even though you know it looks like it ain't building nothing special. You can see them. You maybe get special talent in the draft over the next couple of years. If you're the Bulls, you're just looking forward to them getting older and older and older and trying this over and over and over, and it's trash. Just like the Clippers over the last 3 years. It's exactly who you are, only not as good, not as exciting, and no chance to get James Harden. So for me, I'm like, does Patrick Williams have real value right now? No. His development did not go well. So he kind of stuck with him. Do you want to opt to keep him? You want to extend him? Probably not, man. Not with how that's going. So it's like, okay, what else we got going on? You just look around the roster. It's like, okay, Alex Caruso, maybe we can trade AC for something. But you're trying to keep the timeline. He has an NBA championship. He's a fantastic defender, hits open shots, athletic. You don't want to give away that piece. So as long as you're holding on to the timeline, you're going to hold on to that piece. And then you look around at all their pieces, you find out that they're something similar. It's like, yo, you can't even get better for the sake of what it is you're trying to do. And it's like, why you have AC anyway when he does the same thing that DeRozan does, the same thing that Zach LaVine does, Ayo Dosunmu does, Jones Jr. does. You can't have them all on the floor at the same time. And then you got Vucevic, who's not even the right type of center for that. And it's like, you don't recognize that, and so you re-sign him again. It's like, yo, what are you doing? Wasn't the old guys the trash GM? And how could they replace trash with more trash? I thought we were over this Chicago. We were celebrating 2 years ago. You had gotten Garpax out, right? Isn't that how that went? And now it's just as bad. It really is just as bad. And the only thing I would want if I'm a Chicago fan is for them to just pull the plug on all of it. Take all of our assets and give it to the wind and bring us back all the picks possible. All the picks possible. The Knicks are dying to get a superstar. Give them Zach LaVine. Don't have them get James Harden. Give them Zach LaVine for all the picks they'll give you. They'd be happy to do it. So these are the type of things I just look at Chicago and say, man, y'all are tired as hell. That's what you are, a tired franchise at this point. Tired, bro. And I would want changes, massive changes in Chicago if I were a fan. So that's something that's been on my mind all day long because I don't talk about them, and it's because they don't deserve to be spoken of. So that's what I got to say. Free everybody there, all the players. And fire whoever's the coach is. Isn't it Billy Donovan still? Why is he still there, yo? Why? Why are these things still happening there in Chicago? I don't understand. But anyway, that's what I got to say about the Bulls, man. Yeah. So it should be fun, man. I expect some trades to come up. I wouldn't be surprised if some trades were coming up right now. James Harden to the Clippers or the Knicks. Yeah, both of these teams want to do it. I don't see any reason for the Clippers not to if they're not going to blow it up. I don't see any reason not to. You should probably just do that. Get about 4 or 5, 6 trades teams involved because that's what it's going to take to make that return any decent at all if you're Philly. But it can be done. That's the point. It can be done. If James Harden's hell bent on going to the Clippers, which he probably does have the type of leverage in the NBA, to basically under the table kind of demand where he wants to go and actually get his way. I think that's kind of how that goes for him. So given the fact that it seems like Houston's not going to give him his contract at $35 million, which they definitely should not. I wonder if they're going after Fred VanVleet still, or maybe someone got through to them, because I know I've been calling them out for the last couple of weeks not to do this. Hopefully they get it and just leave the team the way it is. All they got to do is trade the stuff they do not want to keep on the back of the bench, and maybe Porter. That's it. Everybody else, all the starters, keep them all, man. All the backups that really hold weight, keep them all. That's it. That's all. It's all Houston should be wanting to do, because that's all they really can afford to do when these kids start coming around to get paid over the next 3 or 4 years. You do not want to be stuck with a contract that nobody will let you move because they know you need to move it. You understand what I'm saying? That's what's going to end up happening because they're going to want your young talent. See, I see all these steps ahead. These steps aren't hard for someone like myself to see. And I'm trying to help these teams. You're going to bring yourself somebody like James Harden, and then they're going to make you keep James Harden when you're trying to move it. So it's like, yo, don't let it happen to you, Houston. See the steps before they happen. Because all this stuff you're trying to do to mortgage your future to get a championship after all these players have been drafted and we know they're really good, no, that's not smart. It's one thing you give away picks. It's another thing to be giving away young players that are in the league that are starting to make noise. It's like, are you crazy? No, you don't do that. If they don't fit, then trade them for ones who do. But don't just give away youth, man. So I think they're starting to get that. And hopefully we're getting through to them. In the meantime, teams like the Clippers, go for it. Team like Cleveland, nah, probably not. They need flexibility, but I would try to facilitate somehow, get some flexibility out of any of these trades. Teams that need to be getting involved, Chicago, Cleveland, facilitate. Offer up something that you know you need to give up. Be willing to take something back and get a pick or two. Do something for yourselves. For all these teams that don't have any flexibility, gain some. Use this time to not seek out ways of getting better necessarily, but seek out ways of getting more flexible. That's the only way you're going to actually get better. So that is what I have to say. I'm ready to eat my lunch. I hope everybody's enjoying the content. I'm certainly enjoying giving it to you. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching.